In a tweet with 5.1 million views, we've got this guy Reese posting, anyone who's hoping that GTA 6 fails needs a serious reality check. It would have a devastating impact on the entire industry because investor confidence would completely evaporate. That means investors wouldn't just invest in AAA or AA, but indies as well. They're okay, with a bunch of exclamations at the end. And it's like, bro, that's not even true. On top of the fact that a lot of indie studios are so small that they're literally sole proprietorships that don't have investors, there's also LLCs that don't always want investors even if they can get them. But hey guys, we got Reese over here telling you that you gotta support GTA 6 for the small indie devs. It's really important. He goes on to post that if GTA 6 fails, there would be massive repercussions industry-wide from it. Even if you have no interest in GTA 6 or outright hate GTA 6, you should under no circumstances be rooting for its failure. I just don't know where these people come from. Like, on top of his bad point about how GTA 6 failing would allegedly, according to him, negatively impact indie devs as well, which is ridiculous. He's acting like, he's so out of touch. He thinks like gamers don't want the AAA industry to fail. Like, my point is, it's 2026, almost 2027. It's well established and well known how much gamers dislike the AAA industry. So I'm shocked that there's still posts like this where people are like, guys, you gotta buy the newest, most expensive game to support the industry. You don't want it to collapse, right? And it's like, dude, have you been sleeping under a rock? Yes, people want the AAA industry to collapse. The AAA industry is still so corrupt in so many ways. Yeah, a correction would be a good thing. And we've, of course, had some corrections in the years following the COVID boom, but there can still be more. Legendary Drops would respond to Reese, saying, I wonder where you got that idea, specifically about how if GTA 6 fails, it would be disastrous for the AAA industry. Legendary Drops, however, does push back against the concept of what we've been discussing, where Reese tried to say that it would also be bad for the indie studios as well. We'll take a look at what Legendary Drops says about that, and then we'll watch his 40-second long clip. So the tweet reads, I don't think the game will fail, but its performance is a pivotal moment for video game investment. I don't know where this guy's getting indies will suffer, though. Half those games are made by people doing it part-time on their own dime without investors. Yeah, look, you can make a very vague, generalized statement like Reese and be like, well, if the AAA industry crashes, technically that's bad for the industry at large, which technically includes indie devs. And it's like, sure, you can stretch things like that, but that doesn't make it a good point. If you take a more nuanced, a more targeted analysis of how the industry would be affected from a AAA crash, yeah, most of the negatives, you could even argue all of them would fall to the AAA side of things.
We're going to indulge my dark side for a minute here. If Grand Theft Auto 6 failed, the financial devastation it would bring to the games industry would be unlike anything anybody could ever imagine. If it's incredible and it really is next level, generational, insane, even more money is going to flow into the games industry, not only from the players, but from investors, and then things are going to grow bigger and bigger, and we're going to continue down the same path, but even worse. If it's bad, you are going to see investor sentiment across the entire games industry evaporate in a minute. They're going to look at this as like one of the most dangerous and unpredictable industries to possibly invest your money into, and they will suck the cash out of it within moments. The investors will collapse these companies in minutes because they'll be like, if that game can't stay successful in 2026, then nothing will. And then they pull their money out.
Legendary Drops does make some good points, and I could definitely see that happening. But at the same time, this industry already doesn't make sense in some ways. Like, we've seen so many failures, and a lot of these studios that have failed still end up getting funding for their next projects. And a lot of the most corrupt people, whether they're executives or developers in AAA, they seem to have this recurring theme of like failing upward. So like, while I do agree with Legendary Drops, and I could definitely see that happening, like I said, at the same time, I could see that like somehow not happening, and the industry still like, what they would do is like, hey, if GTA 6, this massive single player game, and I know there's, multiplayer components, but I digress. They could say something like, if GTA 6, this massive single player game isn't working, we need to go harder into live service. And it's like, bro, have you not been taking lessons into how live service has been going bad too in many ways for Western companies? But they're so out of touch, and they apparently still have so much funding that that's totally possible. They just go harder on live service. But we'll see. I mean, there's another there's another possibility, which is they do pull money out of like Western AAA and they start investing more heavily in like, Asian AAA. Some of these Asian studios are still doing a great job and people are happy with their games and they're making a lot of money. So there's a few ways this could all play out. Now, all that said, if GTA 6 does fail though, most possibilities lead to that being a good outcome for gamers, a bad outcome for AAA. So I would like to see GTA 6 fail. I think it would be hilarious. And again, I think it would be a massive dub for gamers. I don't know how likely it is to fail though. It's probably more likely to underperform if anything, but we'll see. And then whenever someone says something like that, whenever a gamer says something like I just did, like we want to see GTA 6 fail, there's always these shills on social media, whether it's Twitter, Reddit, etc., etc. They're like, how can you call yourself a gamer when you want GTA 6 to fail, when you want games to fail? Like, gamers don't even like games these days. Dude, how many games are there? Like, literally, what is there? Like, millions of games that have existed now. There's so many games out there. It's such a ridiculous false premise to be like, if you don't want some of these massive AAA games to succeed, if you want them to fail, you're not actually a gamer. You don't actually like video games. It's like, what are these people even talking about? There's, like I said, so many games out there. And a lot of us have games that we love, and we own those games. We have those games. We can always go back and play those games. This is to say, we don't even need new games. We can happily sit and play the games that we already have. We don't need to support some disgusting, corrupt industry to like video games. Like, that's, like I said, a ridiculous false premise. This gets even more hilarious when you take into account how a lot of the people that dislike gamers for wanting these AAA companies to fail are couch activists that say that they're anti-capitalists. The anti-capitalist couch activists are supporting these major corporations. And they're the ones telling us that if we don't support these major corporations, we're not actually gamers. Now, that's already hilarious, but it actually gets even more hilarious when you factor in the reality, which is those people are actually not gamers. Those people don't like video games. They only got into the industry, to try to push their political rhetoric. And a lot of those people got hired at AAA companies during the proliferation of things like DEI and ESG funding. They don't actually like game development. They don't actually like gamers. They don't like the gaming community at large. And those are the very people that are going to turn around and are turning around and telling you that you're not a real gamer if you don't support them and their corrupt corpos and the corrupt AAA industry. I mean, this is just so ironic. It's crazy. It's crazy that that's actually where we're at, with a bit of a caveat. The caveat being, well, a number of those people have been laid off. Granted, again, some fail upward, they get hired at other studios, but not all of them do. A dent has been made. But this takes me back to the prior point from 3-4 minutes ago, which is, while there's been somewhat of a correction since the COVID boom, there's still certainly more that can be done. So it'll be fun to watch that all play out. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.